Caltrop is an area denial weapon designed to stop the enemy. The Caltrop is a sturdy, simple, yet effective weapon no matter its position. Its purpose was originally designed to stop elephant and donkey attacks. It graduated to stopping tanks. And now, the Caltrop is your defense against propaganda, polished lies, and manufactured outrage. It's free from counterfeit credibility and synthetic truth. However, inside the walls of the Caltrop, you're going to be forced to think. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop.
Good evening and welcome to the Caltrop. I am your host, Michael Calderese. Welcome. We are your defense mechanism from everything that is absolutely pathetic in the world of politics, entertainment, and news, because we are your defense. We give you truth. We give you different topics. Listen, I know that you are tired of hearing about Epstein. I know you're tired of hearing about Obama and Hillary Clinton's emails. I mean, we've been through all of this shit for year after year after year, and they're recirculating it. And I know you're tired of hearing about it. And I'm not going to be the canary that's just chirping about the exact same bullshit that everybody's doing. Trade, Russia, Israel, Palestine. It's on and on and on, and the story continues. Pedophiles! I want to talk about something different today. Today, we are going to get into addiction. We are going to get into something that actually matters, that touches everybody's lives, and not in a political bullshit way. I'm going to bring in a former addict. I'm going to bring in somebody that has gone to the depths and has come out the other side of it. Saw the system for what it was, saw the problems, and now is somebody that is actively helping anybody that's willing to be helped. And he's not saying he has the perfect formula, because I don't know if there is one. But we're going to talk about that today, because I think addiction is something, and when we get into it, it's going to blow your mind about how big the numbers actually are that's involved in this. It's something that the numbers are absolutely frightening. So let's start the show off fresh, start the show off hot. Thank you, everybody. Finger my like button early and often. And remember, email me with any questions, any concerns at mikec@centercutmedia.com. But listen, get your questions ready. I want you involved. We have the Rumble link. Everybody on Facebook. I'm going to try to check out all of the streams today. So let's get the party started. All right. Have you ever noticed when it comes to drug use, everyone's got an opinion until it's someone they know. That suddenly it's tragic and unbelievable. Even though 2 weeks ago, they were calling every addict a junkie or a waste of space. That's the thing about people. We only care about problems once they're sitting on our couch eating Yodels and Funyuns. And that unbelievable tragedy a couple weeks ago, everyone was shocked over. It's forgotten about in a day. Now look, people do drugs for all kinds of reasons. Coping mechanisms, low self-esteem, trauma, boredom, or my personal favorite, highlighting the mecca of ignorance and tardation. I just want to try it once. Which is like saying, I just want to stick my tongue in a light socket once, to see how electricity tastes. Spoiler, I bet it tastes like fentanyl. Here's the stat that nobody talks about, even though everybody cares about lives. Fentanyl is the leading cause of death among 18 to 25-year-olds. Not car accidents, not gang shootouts, not even choking on a Tide Pod. Nope, it's fentanyl. They call it accidental death. But it's not like all of these people who OD'd slipped and fell mouth open into a pile of powder. There's accidents, And then there's real accidents. And this is where I get philosophical, because I do think there's a difference between ODing and being poisoned. Ryan's going to talk about that later. If you take heroin knowing it could kill you, that's ODing. You rolled the dice. Common knowledge, buddy. Playing heroin Russian roulette can cause myocardial infarction. But if you think if you think you're taking something else and it's laced with fentanyl, that's poisoning. That's murder with better branding. It's targeted killing of Americans, brought to you by China, your medical establishment. Reminder that OxyContin was less than 1% addictive. It was approved by the FDA. This poisoning came via doctors, regulators, scientists, studies, and politicians. But trust the experts, trust the science, trust your government. The saddest part is nobody talks honestly about it, because we're way too busy watching videos of the latest cop takedown that's supposed to tear the country apart. Meanwhile, thousands of young people are dying quietly in their bedrooms. And apparently that's less newsworthy, or just newsworthy enough to make it a campaign slogan. Now, I'm not going to paint a rose-colored picture of addicts here. I'm not going to suggest that every addict is just a misunderstood person searching for wellness and meaning and just trying to figure them out who they are on the inside. Yes, a lot of addicts do steal. They do lie, manipulate, and burn every single bridge that they could find. I've known some that have robbed grandmothers, and I'm talking about their own. There's nothing more pathetic or sadder than a grandfather whose power washer was stolen and pawned for $35, while his false teeth also go missing. Sometimes a stereotype fits, but is that everybody? Some of them actually want to get better. And here's where society really shows its true colors. Because we're quick to say you can't help people who don't want to be helped. And hell yeah, so am I. I say it all the time. And I stand by it. But what about the ones that do want help? Where's their chance? See, here's the reality. The rehab world is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You'd think with all that money, we'd have a fix. Nope, no fucking way. Half these places are basically Marriott hotels with group therapy, charging $30,000 a month. And the other half are scam factories designed to milk insurance until the addict relapses so they can bill all over again. Or they shove more drugs up their ass in order to keep them off the drugs that they got them addicted to in the first place. Man, that's a racket. With a straight face, Big Pharma is like, so we got you horribly addicted to this drug. And yes, we lied about it. We lied about its effects in order for you really to take it. And it was bad. I get it. We're not going to apologize, though. No. No worries. We paid a fine, but we still made like $5 billion. And hooray! We've made this new awesome drug to help. So here, take this methadone for your health. Also, please fill out this clipboard with your Medicaid information so we can get paid. And then there's Narcan. Yeah, it saves lives, but it's not a cure. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound and saying, okay, we're good now. Some people even treat Narcan as a reset button. They OD, get revived, and say, cool, now I can try again, only harder. And hey, you're a scumbag for ruining my high. The whole thing reminds me of a COVID shot, except instead of this will stop the spread, it's this will stop the death for now. And just like with COVID, they created the perfect conditions for the crisis in the first place, didn't they? Flooded the country with pills, got everyone hooked, and then acted shocked when people switched to the cheaper, deadlier stuff. And they all made money off those deaths. Amazing, right? So here's my bottom line. Not everybody can be saved. That is just a sad reality of people and individuals. But some people can. And if someone's ready to crawl out of the pit, they should be able to grab a rope that's actually tied to something solid. Not some slick rehab racket looking for a cash and a check. Because if we keep pretending fentanyl deaths are just junkies being junkies, we're going to wake up in 10 years with a missing generation. And I don't know about you, but I'm not ready for America's youth to be replaced entirely by TikTok influencers who think clean means I just wipe the mirror before my selfie. I'd like our youth to find meaning, to find guidance, and to find those willing to help. Finally, I hope we really don't create more deaths, and that's all we seem to be doing. I hope we start caring about issues that go past school shootings, cops' knees, or Palestine. I hope we can create life, understanding, and healing. Or we could just keep saying, hey, look at that scumbag. I mean, that's also fun. I've laughed at people high as fuck on the streets bent over backwards. But many people have created amazing comeback stories of redemption. It's this part of addiction. It's this part of the addiction problem that I want to address tonight. And I think it's the most important. So here to discuss this problem, his experience on it, the pitfalls, and the solutions, back again is my man, my lifelong friend, my brother, Ryan Lawrence. And that was the Mike's Right. Shut the fuck up, and I hope you listen. My man, Ryan Lawrence, how are you, sir?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
I am doing great. So just out of sheer morbid curiosity, while I checked the chat and see how everybody liked what I was doing there, what did you find wrong? What'd you like? Let's go ahead and analyze my my little monologue breakdown there. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Well, I want to start off with if anybody has a power washer for sale, I could get you more than $35. You need a new power washer, guy, if that's all you get for power. You touched on a lot of stuff, Mike, but you made a lot of good points. It's there's a lot of levels to this thing. I can't, I can speak on all of them, but like when it comes to like the pharmaceutical companies and big pharma, and then you have like these other drugs like Suboxone and methadone. I have plenty opinions on all that stuff. I think some of them in some situations are good. Others, it's real hard when you know that it's just like big pharma is still just making more money off people's pain and suffering. But regardless, it's a problem. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so sad to see people, like you said, like bent over on the side of the road. It's crazy. And, the other thing you said is like, the truth is like, not only can you not help everybody, but some of those people don't want to be helped. And that's a sad truth, man. There's a lot of people out there that are content with what they're doing. They don't want the help. And for those people, there's absolutely nothing you can do. Listen, man, drugs work, right? Like if the desired effect is to go completely numb, they work. All the things you said, all the horrible things people do, stealing from their grandparents, like you wouldn't do all that for nothing. There was that guy, I can't remember his name, but he was like a professor somewhere. He was on Joe Rogan's show, and he's like some professor at Columbia who like socially does heroin, right? And he goes on Joe Rogan's podcast and he's telling people like, like heroin's actually good, and you're like, yeah, obviously it's good. People are throwing away everything in their life to do it. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? Is he like trying to pitch heroin to people?
Yeah, he's like Hunter Biden trying to pitch crack. It's like, no, I mean, crack is really, 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 really clean, man. All it is like Coke and bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate. And all you got to do is heat it up, and all the ingredients it got. And the fast, just thinking about it got him like all fucking wired. It's like, that's like, you see his eyes going all buggy and shit.
The crackhead talking about crack.
It is. It's crackheads talking about crack. And listen, I get it. I mean, I everyone knows that watches me. I do smoke weed, and I do like it. I'm never going to be like the weed salesman unless it's like you're fucked up on other things. I'm like, hey man, why don't you just go to weed? Because I think that's going to just dial your whole shit down a little bit. But who knows? But let's start here, bro, because I think one of the most interesting things that I find that I wonder about, bro, is how people get on the path to doing some of that stuff. And I'm going to tell you a personal story. I don't know if I've ever told you this. And just to give everybody like a little bit of like a background, Ryan and I have been best friends since, I don't know what, 6 years old. Like we grew up every single day together. I called his mom. I called his dad. They were like mom too, dad too. I mean, every day we hung out until we got to like the high school age. Right. And I actually remember one night I was telling my mom, whereas like I walked in, remember our hangout in the back shed that was like our hangout. I remember walking in and you guys, we were all smoking cigars and we were like 15, 16 years old. And I was like, what are you guys doing? You're like, come on in, grab a cigar. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to smoke cigars. And that's when kind of like we started drifting apart a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It was like almost like one of those little things. So I'm like, now I was I guess, directed away from that for, I guess, sports reasons and the whole nine yards. And when I got into college and learned about all the drugs, that's when I tried weed. And that's when I kind of started coming, what I'm talking about? That's when I kind of made my circle into trying some shit. But tell me, like, what do you think it is that people are drawn to some of these harder drugs, especially where they graduate from weed to this, to that, and they get caught up in it? Can you just give me any life perspective on how you think you got caught up in it?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you my perspective. The truth is, Mike, is I think it's different for everybody. I think, of us, and I think it's natural for people to want to try something, whether it be smoking cigars or having a beer or smoking weed, and my understanding of it today is more how each individual reacts to it. So you could take a bunch of, you could take 100 people and give them all alcohol for a week straight, and after that week is over, most of them will just go back to their normal lives. But the alcoholic, the way I understand it now is that, like, it says it's like an obsession of the mind coupled with an allergy of the body. Right. So my mind is telling me, like, you should have a drink, you should go drink, you should get high, you should do whatever. And the allergy of the body is, once I ingest that, I can't stop. Right. So it's like, as soon as, it's called the phenomenon of craving. So it's like, as soon as I have one, I don't want the party to stop, and that was my story. I was a good football player, played all sport. You know what I mean? Like, life was good. I was popular, and it wasn't like I didn't have some like sad story. But I had started, messing around and doing, this was like the 90s. It was like, ecstasy and, it was like fun. It was still like fun, drugs. And then, you just I was open. I was like down to try, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is inside of me. If it's like I was adventurous or, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I know that I tried, and it's almost like, they have all these little analogies in the program, but they say, like, doing drugs is like having sex with a gorilla. Like, you don't get to say when it's over, and that's kind of what it is. It's like you get started on this path and you find out real quick, like, I don't even have a say in the matter. Like, I didn't want to continue doing those things. It was almost like beyond. And that's when you start stealing your grandparents' dentures and power washers, is try to feed that thing. And it happens fast, man. And
that's the point. I think it happens faster than everyone realizes. And it's that one thing, like, yeah, let's do this, and then let's do this, and then let's do that. And the next thing you know, you are caught up in, like, in a little bit of a spiral. And we watched sadly a lot of people, leave this planet early because of it. I'm sure you've seen so many of them. So just, and then take us like into it a little bit, just to give the context of what we're talking about, because to me, there's an expert that goes and they study about things in a book, and then there's an expert that lives throughout the system, right? So tell everybody the different parts of it. So you saw the inner workings of the rehab system, right? You saw the inner workings of the, I guess the police end of it, obviously, with jail and the whole nine yards, right? Is that safe to say you've seen almost every avenue of this and how people make money in the whole nine yards?
All of it, man. And like, again, Mike, like I said, like, I think, the stories, and all that happens, right? They say, like, crime, jails, institutions, and death. Like that's what you have to look forward to. And I've been through all those except for the last, in and out of, when I was a kid, a lot of rehabs. My mother and father, good people, constantly trying to help and couldn't quite understand. So in and out of all those, outpatient rehabs, inpatient rehabs, long-term rehabs. I lived in a Pentecostal Christian church on 119th Street in Harlem for almost 2 years. I was the only white kid there. And it was actually an awesome experience. Like, it was a really cool experience, but so I did, like, the religious programs, 12-step program. Like, I tried all of it. And then, as I became an adult, it was jail. Like, it always ended in jail for me. And, we were wild kids growing up, we used to just do wild stuff. And so when we were
wild, we did some stupid shit.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Well, that stupid shit, it helped, right? When I needed to go rob something to get money, I was like, well, we've been robbing Cumberland Farm since we were kids, so I had to step it up a little bit, but it was like, it was natural for me to start doing that stuff. And so for me, it always ends in a jail cell. That's always my moment of clarity is, I was just wild, man. I was willing to do whatever. And it was just, dude, a lot of pain, a lot of, here's the thing though, humans are capable of adjusting to their surroundings.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people go like, I could never go to jail. And I'm like, yeah, you could. Like, because once you're there, you go, okay, this is my situation. I'm here. And you just keep, lowering your expectations until you get to a spot where you just can't believe that this is your life, and you talked about it before, Mike. It's like, you and I grew up in the same neighborhood, had like similar interests and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you go off to college. I totally could have went to college if I didn't start, on that path. And I end up going off to this life of like literally just crime and going to jail,
And I was in jail as well, like not on the same scale, but I went to college and was an asshole on smacking some idiots around. And I mean, we both wound up in jail. So, there's that as well, man.
Every self-respecting brick kid ends up in jail at least once, right?
Yeah, we have to. And you have to get that disorderly conduct charge in Seaside Heights, New Jersey for fighting with somebody when you first start going to the bars. But you did, you obviously did reach a point in your life where, enough was enough, right? Did you have like a come to Jesus moment, I guess they call it, or was it something that was more of like a war of attrition where you kind of had to fight demons for years and maybe even still fight them?
Well, it was a lot of years.
Okay.
I started getting high, especially with like hard drugs. I was like 15 years old the first time I did it, and I ended up getting clean and sober when I was 33. So it was like 18 years, and that whole time, I wanted to stop. I really deep down inside, like I knew I wasn't a bad person. I still like made good friendships along the way. I had a lot of people that really cared about me. With all my faults, I've always been like a likable person. And it's hard, man, when you go through your entire life and you ruin every single relationship that you have. I mean, all of them. Girlfriends, parents, my brother, every job I've ever had, my friend, every single relationship I've ever been in, I ruined, and so, there was like, there's this thing, like I was saying, like people say a bottom. And I think a lot of times they think of like a physical bottom, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I was homeless or I went to jail and for a lot of people that physical bottom that's it for them. But my story wasn't like that. Like I could handle physical bottoms. You know what I'm saying? Like once you go to jail a few times, like I know how to do jail. I'm not saying I'm no badass or anything like that, but I know how to do it. And so that's no longer a bottom for me. Or if I have to, like, if I don't have a place to stay, I could figure it out. And so that's no longer, but and it's just like, it just keeps getting lower and lower. What happened for me, Mike, was more of like an emotional bottom, and when I finally did get sober, I was out in California and, I was out in California for a while getting high and me and the girl I was dating, who I'm still with today, God bless her heart for dealing with me during those first couple years. But we were on the road, man. She owned a house in Long Beach, California, and she sold her house and she bought a RV and we decided to just hit the road, And I got like no sobriety. I might have had like a couple weeks where I hadn't, drank or used drugs or anything like that. And we ended up going on this cross country trip. And while we were on that trip, I just did what I always do. Every time there was an opportunity, for me to use drugs or whatever, I jumped on the opportunity. Like I had no defense against it. So like we were in Jersey at one point. I think I saw you on that trip, actually. We had that RV parked in the driveway.
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. And my mother was on pain meds for 30 years, So when we're there, like one night, the opportunity showed itself, boom, I take a pain pill, and it's like, that was kind of always the story. I didn't know how to not do it. It was more of like a reaction, I would see the opportunity and just like my brain couldn't even get in the way. I just did it automatically. And so I had done that one time on the trip and what ended up happening was we were driving across country. We left Jersey and we were driving through Texas, and we had stopped at a friend's house, like a friend that we knew out there. And bro, perfect day. Everything was fine. We're on the back deck. We're barbecuing food, just hanging out. And I asked him if he had any Advil, I had I think my back was hurting or something. And he said, yeah, go ahead. It's inside. And I went into the house and I opened the cabinet, and there was a bottle of codeine cough syrup, and it was like same thing. Like I looked at it and my arm just shot up and grabbed it. My other hand took the cap off and I just took a big old chug of this codeine, and it's crazy. Like I really thought that the last time I used drugs was going to be like, a cop chase and guns involved, and I was going to barricade myself. And, I thought it was going to be some like wild story. And it wasn't, dude. It was codeine cough syrup. But what happened that day, Mike, was like, it was the way I felt. I looked at my girl and it was just the same look every person I'd ever been friends with had looked at me, just like disgust, just absolute like shame and disappointment. And, man, for me, that was it. It was like, I can't keep doing it. Like, what's the point of life? If I can't have like relationships anywhere, then what's the point? And for me,
how'd you stop it? How'd you stop the grab? You know what I'm saying? I think that's what I think that's something that could probably help everybody. Like, what was the process that you went through to where you stopped that hand from going? You stopped the other hand from uncorking it?
So that's a process. The first part of that process is that acknowledgement, is like, you have to acknowledge that there's a problem. If you have a hole in your roof and there's just water dumping and you're like, nah, it's fine, everything, like the roof's never gonna get fixed. We have to acknowledge that, like, okay, this is where the problem's coming from. And so it took me a long time to come through, but that was the first part of it, is just acknowledging, like, this is the problem. For me, I was exposed to 12-step meetings a long time ago and did not want anything to do with it for a long time. It was the last place I wanted to be, but throughout all those years, it was undeniable that something was working in these rooms. I had seen so many people who had the craziest stories, some way worse than me, that were living just like productive lives, just regular lives. And I think that's all I ever really wanted, man. I just wanted to be regular. Like, I just wanted to be able to show up to work 5 days in a row, without calling out. And so that's what I did, man. I went down to some meetings out there in California where we ended up going back to, and just asked for help, man. Just kind of reached out to those guys out there. And that's what's really great, man, with those rooms is those guys want to help. That's like the whole thing, is like, you get your life together, and the way you keep that going is by helping other people, So thank God for them, man. Thank God for those old crusty dudes sitting in that meeting. They scooped me up, man. And to get to that point where it's no longer a reaction, Mike, it takes a long time, man. And I could kind of walk you through it if you want me to walk you through like the parts of it.
Yeah. If you could do it like, I wouldn't say fairly quickly, but real quick. We have Chris Donnelly says, tell him I called him a jackass still.
Chris, you're right, bro. I still am a jackass, dude.
Chris,
you're correct.
And Jay Ulrich says, shit, God bless you, Ryan. Great to hear you are well. And we have some other comments in the chat as far as Big E McD says, Jesus loves you, buddy. We fail, we fall. We are broken throughout Jesus. We have all the strength we need, and he knows that we will continue to fall. Confide in him. Yeah, man, whatever. I'm one of those guys that it's whatever works for you, right? Is that like part of your process?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, there's a line in one of the basic texts of the program, but it says there's as many examples of a spiritual experience as there are those who have had them. And I believe that, man. I think there's a lot of different ways to this thing. And that's what I really love about the 12-step groups is we don't claim, we have like a layout, and I'll break it down real quick. I'll give you the quick little overview of it. But it's very free, man. Whether you're like a hardcore, religious, whether it be Christianity or whatever, if that's your thing, that's awesome. That works. If you're more into like, just like hippie dippy pagan type, that's cool. Like whatever it is, man, you know, as long as you're open to try these things. And that's what's beautiful about it is it's all action, you know? So I'll give you a quick little rundown of the 12-step program and kind of my experience and the way I see it, right? So like I said, step one, we admitted, right? We admitted that we're powerless over whether it be alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, whatever it is. There's 12-step programs for everything, right? So step one is we admitted. And that's tough for some people, man. It's tough for some people just to say it out of their mouth. Like, I am an alcoholic. Like, I no longer have control over what I'm doing, right?
Can I try it? Can I try it? Can I try it?
Yeah.
I am Mike Calderis, and I am a masturbator.
Hi, Mike.
All right. Then I got to tell you,
good,
I feel better. I feel better already. All right. Let's get on to step two. Let's do it.
All right. So step two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. Right. And people trip out on that. We start getting into this God talk and all that. And people get like freaked out, understandably so. People have weird experiences with all that stuff. Some people are just, you know, hardcore agnostics or atheists or any of that stuff. But really what it is I'm just saying that, like, I'm open to the idea that something bigger than me could work. Now, whether that means I just trust the group, the meetings, you know, if I think that if I hike up to a mountain and look out there, that the universe is something bigger than, it doesn't matter. Like, just, we have to admit that there's something outside of ourselves that means something, right? Step three, we turned our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him, right? So I'm basically saying in step three, like, I'm willing to try the rest of these steps, right? Like, I'm willing to, like, at least do the rest of these things and see kind of how it goes, right? Step four, we do a searching and fearless moral inventory, right? So what that means is, like, you know, when I was out there drinking and using, like, I did a lot wrong, man. You know, I hurt people and I was hurt by people constantly, you know, because it's like, you know, you're stepping on everybody's toes constantly. You're just doing it, and then people are retaliating back at you. You know what I'm saying? So you build up all these resentments throughout your life, and there's a lot, you know, and that's kind of the fire that kind of keeps you going in that active addiction or alcoholism, right? And so it's real important to, like, I want to do a list of all these resentments. I want to get all this stuff on paper. I want to be able to look at all these things and see in each one of these things, what was my part in it, right? And it's a really beautiful, a lot of people get scared of this, but, like, you know, when I was doing my inventory, I had every person I ever worked for, all my bosses, I resented every one of them. And as I'm writing down, I was like, well, what was my part in it? And I was like, I was a terrible employee. Like, every single one of them, I called out of work, I stole, you know what I mean? So it was like, I'm the common denominator, you know, and I was able to see that over and over again with all my friendships, with my, you know, romantic relationships, with my brother, with my parents. Like, I was the common denominator. I was the one that kept screwing it. So that's
hard. That's
difficult.
hard to do, dude. That's not easy to do. I think that's. Would you agree that that's probably the toughest bridge that people have to cross? I'd imagine it would be.
That's where everybody falls off.
Yeah.
Everybody falls off right there. It's tough, man. It's you know, self-appraisal is not. It's very easy to blame your circumstances on other people. That comes very natural to us because that's like, obviously it's not me. It has to be somebody else, you know. That's your instinct is to blame it on some, you know, if my girlfriend wasn't nagging on me, if my boss didn't fire, you know what I mean? It's like, you always want to blame it on somebody else. But the truth is like, almost everything was my fault, you know?
I do know, and I don't know what is going on with my, I don't know what's going on with my camera. It's got to be something in the StreamYard program that's making me go out and in. If you see me messing with my cameras while you're talking, we'll do that. But I mean, I think that's the key to everything. What is my part in it? And that's just let me read these couple. Mama Duke says, I am so proud of you, Ryan. Jay Caldas says, Ryan, we are very proud of you, and you are always in our thoughts. Sarah says, proud of his story and his heart. I mean, you have a lot of people, and I love the fact that we kind of reconnect, and that's the part that I really want to focus on, like your journey back, right? So we kind of came back, and then politics brought us together, and we ran into each other again the first time with the Libertarian Party. But that journey back, tell me some of the pitfalls that come back in it, like when you were in rehabs. Like maybe let's go through some of these really quick, because this is the truth, right? Let's throw off a couple stats really fast for everybody. Actually, really quick, random crazy question. Tell me really quick, white girl, black girl. What'd you say? White girl, black girl?
That's a white girl.
That's a white girl?
Yeah.
It's actually a black girl. Yeah, but I think it's a black girl wearing white face, because this is apparently Beyonce, and she looks like me in August with a tan, with blonde hair and a hat. I'm just wondering, just to get off topic for a quick second, how's that not cultural appropriation?
Yeah.
If a white girl's wearing those braids, they would have had a problem. Let's just, I had to get off the heavy shit for a second. Let's now back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, so check this out. The national trends, right? We actually have declining drug rates, but they're still high. The overall national opioid dispensing rate has been declining from 46.8 prescriptions per 100 people. That sounds like a lot, to 37.5, and I think it's a little bit further down, or 37.5 in 2023, and I think it actually went down a little bit more from there, right? And you also have this opiate misuse. It looks like 11.1 million people aged 12 and over misuse this stuff. This seems like a major problem, right? I mean, you avoided all this stuff. You avoided the overdose, the overdoses. And I mean, kind of, right? But you said you in our conversations, you had interventions like Narcan and stuff like that. But let's do this really fast. When we talk about poisoning versus overdose, let's start there, right? Let's get some nomenclature right. You think there's a lot more people being poisoned than they're not just ODing? Is that like where we're at?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's I don't, from what I hear, I got clean and sober in 2014, and thank God I missed the whole fentanyl. I mean, it came right after that was when fentanyl became real popular. So I have I honest to God, I hear some of these kids talk. I don't even know what they're talking about. But from what I hear, man, it's like, people are doing coke. Like, now I'm not saying that coke's not bad. Coke is not as bad as heroin, though. Nobody does like a bump of coke and goes like, oh, I might die right now. You know what I mean? Coke is pretty and people are doing coke. One of Vic's buddies, man, they went out and got a bag of coke one night. They all did it. He woke up in the morning. The entire house was dead. His girlfriend, all the people in the house were dead. Like, it was 100% fentanyl, so these people were all like, and these weren't like junkies, these were like people that like had jobs and work, they just like to party every now and then. And they got a bag of fentanyl, and he woke up, God bless his heart, to our buddy Tom, and the whole house was dead. You know what I mean? So that's not an overdose. That's not, I did too much heroin and I died. That's like, I took a Vicodin and thought it was like a Vicodin, and now I'm dead on fentanyl. It's crazy, man. Mike, honest to God, bro, it's almost like a separate issue. I have theories about it because of my libertarian tendencies. Like, I think in a world where drugs were, legal and went through some sort of process where the FDA or whatever could say like, this is a safe drug. Yeah, I think that would be.
Well, they did that, didn't they? Is that where OxyContin came from? Didn't they come out and say, yeah, this was safe, it's less than 1% addictive, and that's what started this whole thing in the first place? Sure. I mean, when you look at this, as of 2022, there's 645,000 people have died from opioid overdoses. When you bring that to the 2025 numbers, even 2024 numbers, it's over 800,000 people are died, and approximately 81,000 people opioid deaths in 2020, with 90% involving synthetic opioids rather than other than methadone, right? And this is another one. In 2022, the highest opioid-related deaths were among American Indian, Alaskan Native, and Black African people at 49.9 and 36.6 deaths per respectively. So this used to be like, heroin used to be like, used to hear white kids doing too much heroin, ODing. Now you're hearing it across the spectrum in every single community. It doesn't seem like it's like crack anymore. It seems like heroin and fentanyl are going crazy. And this is another thing that I think is interesting. There's polysubstance use is growing as well. They're talking a fourth wave, which is involving the use of opioids with stimulants like meth and coke. Right. So I guess is that, is that part of the whole thing as well? Because I mean, we do have an issue with this skyrocketing. You have overdose deaths skyrocketing. Heroin's been around for a long time. Heroin overdoses seem like they've been around for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
It seems like the overdoses are really, they're taking off, and they're taking off in this synthetically. That's scary, man. I don't even know how to even start. We have to get to people before they get there, right?
I mean, yeah, Mike, that's the thing, is like when it comes to like policy, like, yeah, I have opinion. There's no easy answer.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do? Like, if there's a demand for something, I don't know how you stop that. You know, it's like kind of goes back to that thing. Like, if an alcoholic won't stop drinking, it's not like you just keep yelling at them and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how you stop people from wanting to do drugs. You know what I mean? That part, I don't have answers. You know, I don't know how to do it. I think it has something to do with culture. I think it has something to do with, like, you know, the American dream being attainable. You know, people having a job where they can pay their bills and buy a house and raise a family. Like, I tend to think that those things would solve problems culturally, but I don't know, and I have no control over that. You know, what I can do is be there when one of these people, you know, comes in and they decide, like, I want to get my life together. Like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be in, like, that's where I come into the story, you know?
Yeah. And that's really where I want to go to next, because you have come all the way out of it. Right. So what are some of the things that I think you look for when you think somebody is serious about getting help? Like, are there signs where they go, you know, they're just being told to be there versus I really need help. I want to get help. What are the main signs that you look for?
So both of those people can get better. You know, the people that are forced to go there and the people that really want to go there. What it really comes down to, Mike, is the action. You know, I think people get confused, right? And this is, I was telling you this on the phone earlier today. There's this trend going on like TikTok and, you know, whatever, where people are going on there and they're talking really bad about 12-step programs, right? And fair enough. If you had a bad experience, that's fine. Whatever. You're entitled to speak about your experience, right? But I think
every fuck up's had a bad experience, though, too. Typically,
course,
the bad experiences happen to the people who don't really want to make themselves better, who are blaming everybody else but themselves. Sorry to jump in there.
It's all good. And the truth is, man, is like, you know, all these 12-step rooms are filled with drug addicts, alcoholics. So, like, yeah, there is the potential of one of these people doing something stupid. And it does happen. I've seen it happen, right? But the thing that I wanted to point out, right, is that I think today in 2025, anybody who has to consider going to AA or NA or any of those things, we think that that's a meeting. Right. I think that most people today, if you ask them, what is Alcoholics Anonymous, their answer would be, it's a meeting that people go to. And it's not what it is. Alcoholics Anonymous is the title of a book. Okay. And it's a textbook. The first 164 pages of that book tell you what to do. If you buy the book and open it up, it walks you through. I mean, it starts off with like the doctor's opinion. It gives like this opinion from Dr. Silkworth in 1930, whatever. There's like a whole intro to it, but then it tells you what to do, right? And so this whole thing where it's like when people come into AA and they go like, well, if I just sit in this meeting, everything will get better. And you're like, there's no location that you could sit that's going to fix you. You know what I mean? It's all action. It's a lot of work. And I kicked and screamed for the first 18 years. I didn't want to do the work. I didn't want to do an inventory. I didn't want to look at my character defects. I didn't want to make amends to people. I didn't want to help other people. I didn't want to do any of those things. You know, it wasn't until I was forced to do those things that life really started changing, man. And so when you ask like, well, how can I tell? Like, I could tell if they're doing the work. You know, if I tell somebody like, listen, first assignment, I want you to read through this. I want you to write in your own words what you got out of it and meet up with me next week. Like if they meet up with me next week, then okay, cool. We're moving along, you know, but if they don't, it might just not be their time, man. And it's, dude, a lot of them, man. Mike, I've got the honor to like work with a lot of young men, and it's like 70%, 70% of them just,
it's not their time.
It's just not their time, man. And it's tough. At first, it's tough to handle that, because you don't want to see people fail. You're getting close to these people, and a lot of them come and go. But we just have an open door policy. That's it. It's like, okay, you didn't get it this time. Like, in a couple years or a couple months when you're ready, we'll all still be here. And that's kind of what works for me, man. I don't push it on anybody. This isn't, I always post something on Instagram. I got like a little medallion I get every year on my anniversary. And one of the things I write is like, if you want to drink and use, like, that's your business. I'm not here. I'm not one of the, I'm not telling people you shouldn't drink. I love drinking. I love doing drugs. Like, if I could, I still would be doing them today. That's not my position, is to tell people like, you shouldn't do this. My position is, if you want to stop and you can't, like, give me a call, And so that's kind of like my motto with the whole thing. And that's most people that work a good program, they're in a 12-step program, that should be their approach to it.
Dude, it's amazing how self-aware you are. And it's one of the things that I think it sets you apart with people, because you are self-aware. You can do that self-evaluation. Like me, right? Yankee 68 says the camera's having a hard time with the big body and the small head. Here I am thinking I had a big ass head. Sarah says bomb the cartels, and Jake Halda tends to agree with that conversation. I think, it's not just the cartels. It is China. It is the cartels that are making the product. But you do have an active situation with China. But we do have an active situation where people think and they feel so helpless in the fact that they want to do these drugs. I mean, we have a lot of friends of ours, and some of them are self-destructive. Some of them want to do these things because they hate their lives for whatever reason, and they want to destruct their lives. And no matter what it is, they're going to find a way to fuck it up. Like, everyone knows Ricky Bobby's father from Talladega Nights, right? Oh, my mom just came and got the dog. But they know Reese Bobby from Talladega Nights. They know this. And they know that he's going to fuck it up no matter where he goes. He just has an itch in their body just to fuck things up. And I think some people feel like that. It's, to me, that's the sad part. And those are people that did grow up in horrible situations. Let me ask this question, because I think this is relevant, I guess, for parents. Do you have any, and I'm not saying it like from a parent perspective, I'm talking about from a kid hiding it from your parent kind of perspective, where this is kind of where I want you to think about. If you had to tell parents what to look for if your kid might be involved in heroin or doing these things, do you have anything that you would toss them to say, hey, certain things may cause you a little bit of alarm?
Damn, it's been so long since what I put my parents through, man. I would say dishonesty. It's like it changes who you are, man. I know, like, one of my favorite parts of being in the program, right, and being in sobriety, is you get to see people come back to life. Like, when you look at somebody in their eyes, like, you could see life in their eyes, and I know for a long time, like, I look at photos sometimes and I'm like, God, look, I look like a demon, dude. There's just no life. There's just nothing behind my eyes. So for me, that's the biggest one, right? Is like, you could see it in a person's eyes, but like, it's such a change. It's impossible to have whatever personality you have. When you're on drugs, alcohol, not so much, it kind of comes and goes, but like, drugs are so secretive. A lot of people, when they're on drugs, they isolate, so those are things. I was telling you that today, man. That's how I was. Like, I isolated. You wouldn't hear from me. I would kind of just disappear. And so, like, I become like real, like, withdrawn, so I can go be a lunatic by myself and not anybody. Those are big ones, man. But, the truth is, Mike, especially with drugs today, with fentanyl, you'll notice they'll be folded in half in the front yard, on some crazy combination of like trank and fentanyl. Like, I think it's pretty obvious, nowadays,
I see. I was at Jersey Farms one day, Ryan, and I saw a guy doing like a straight up back bend, like my daughter would be. Only he didn't complete the walkover. You know what I'm saying? But he was basically in a full back bend. And I, again, don't know what the hell my camera's doing right now. I have a lot of technical issues. I got my mom walking in the studio, getting my dog to run, almost knock over my camera. It was fun. But dude, it's it's awesome that you're like I said, you're transitioned back into this thing, man. And is it like a daily thing that that you're fighting still, or is it something that you think is out of your mind? Is like the urge isn't there anymore, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it is. It's both of those, right? It's still something I have to fight daily, right? The book says, like, I have a daily reprieve contingent on my spiritual maintenance, right? So if I continue to do what I'm doing, my life gets better. And it's not like, here's the thing too, man. Drugs and alcohol are a symptom of our problem, right? I did drugs and alcohol because it fixed the problem. Whatever fear and anxiety I ever felt, it made all that go away. Like beer works very good. Vodka works very good at making whatever you're worried about go away. And so that's the problem. It is the solution for a long time, right? Whatever thing that ails you, alcohol and drugs is the solution. The problem is it turns on you at some point, and becomes a problem. So like all that stuff still exists, right? Like I still have problems with like, fear, ego, all these things. I'm not good enough. This isn't going to work out. Like if it's like I still have, Home Depot still drives me crazy. Like I still want to fist fight people when I go to Home Depot. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, like I just changed the things I'm working on, so I'm in a constant state of trying to be better. I know here's a big one is like your relationship at home with your wife. That's where I learn the most. Like if I'm being an asshole, like I'll find out real quick, And so, but
I bet you
that's
put
like,
you in place.
Yeah. Because I could act cool at a meeting, right? I could say all the right things and everyone thinks I'm doing great. But if I'm going home and my wife doesn't want to be around me, well, then what am I doing? So it goes beyond drugs and alcohol. It's like, I want to be a better person. I want to have interactions with the world around me in a better way. I want to be able to process what's going on politically without losing my mind. You know what I'm saying? So it really, truly, it applies in every aspect of life. And so to answer your question, I do have to constantly work on it, and it's a pleasure. It's not like a drag. I love going. I go to a meeting. I've been going to a meeting every week for September will be 11 years. Like I don't miss meetings, I enjoy going. It's where my friends are. It's where new guys are that I can help. So I do enjoy going, but it's no longer something, the obsession is gone. Okay. I no longer am like waking up in the morning going like, God, please don't let me drink today or don't let, you know what I mean? That obsession, and it was lifted pretty soon. I would say in the first like 6 months, I was able to like wake up every day and go to work and I didn't call out and you know what I mean? Like, so it got good fast. But I think when it comes to long-term sobriety, and continuing that on for multiple years, I do think it takes work. I got to constantly look at the way that I'm acting, man. And if I'm doing crazy stuff, if I'm lying to people and stealing and, and I got all my friends are mad at me, well, then I need to take a look at myself. Like, what's going on? Like the proof is in the pudding. If everybody around me is pissed off, then obviously I'm not living right.
The proof of the pudding is in the eating. And here you are sitting at the table, bro. Sarah says, dishonesty, high-risk behavior when really young, self-destructive behaviors, and problems with authority are all red flags parents should address. Tim Schramm says, I blame Lakewood. I fully blame Lakewood. PT Pod, my man, Mike Hall, says, awesome show tonight. Really appreciate you guys. And Jay Calvin says, true, Sarah. And I blame Lakewood as well. I just kind of tossed that in there. He really didn't say that, but they would have to see it, and that behavior is easily hidden from parents. I think behavior is really hidden from parents that don't want to be involved anymore because too many parents, I don't think, take their kids to baseball games. They really sit them in front of an iPad, or whatever it is, let them go to YouTube, and they let their kids kind of have at it, and I don't. It's hard to see change in behavior if you don't know behavior in and of itself. Now, let me ask you this, because I know time's getting low, and we could really go on this for an hour. And obviously, you this is your fifth appearance on the show or whatever it is. I want you to. We know you're going to be back and back, and I don't want this all every time you come on to talk about this. I thought this is something we both wanted to do for a while too. Yeah. So do me a favor, because you do see people that want to get helped. If you had any advice for I'm going to ask you a tougher question. I think the 25-year-old you or whatever, if you think you had any advice for that version of him right now, whether you could reach him or not, right? Whether he's going to listen or not is going to be a different conversation for a different day. But what advice would you give to that guy, and any paths that they could take that that you think that might be beneficial for
him? It gets worse, man. It's progressive. That would be the thing. Like whatever you're feeling right now, however bad you think it got right now, it's gonna get worse. You know, it's a compounding problem. You know, like you get arrested, and then you get out on probation, and then you get arrested again. Now you're on for 2 charges. Then you go. You know what I mean? It's a compounding problem. And so it's like all the pain, it just grows and grows and grows, and which means you have to do more drugs to make it go. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't think I understood that when I was a kid. I don't think I understood that, like, you know, I just thought like this is a problem, not like this is a problem that's going to progressively get worse. You know, man, Mike, there's not much you can say, man.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that sucks, dude, is like, I don't know if I don't know if there's a different way. It's like, you know, be in touch with yourself, man. You know, like try to like acknowledge like what you're feeling. Do things that you like. I stopped doing everything I like doing. You know what I mean? Like I didn't go fishing. I didn't play sports. I didn't do anything. I like for, you know, 15 years, I didn't do any of the things that I enjoyed doing. It's like you just lose everything. So, you know, for me today, I try to do everything that I enjoy. You know, I spend a lot of fishing and hunting and, you know, going to the gym. I have a beautiful wood shop where I get to work on my things creatively. So I do stay plugged into that today. Now, I don't know if I told 20-year-old Ryan like some shit like that, I'd probably be like, get the fuck out of my face, dude. You know? So I don't know, man. It's hard. I try not to do like, you know, there's a line in the book that says frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. What we needed was a message of depth and weight. And I love that line. And what that means to me is like, yo, my mother loved me, bro. I know she did. She was a good mother. My mother and my father were good people.
Great people.
And I still couldn't stop. Like, even though my brother, my mom, and my dad begged me to stop, I couldn't stop, man. And so it's like, what could you say to somebody is like, just be there for them when they are ready, man. And it's like, it's not great news, but in this day and age with fentanyl, man, it's scary to sit on the sidelines and watch, but like, it's all you could do, man. And that's all I could do. I know that's all I can do is like be there. We have, you know, Sarah has a niece and her cousins and her family members who are on drugs. I do too, you know, and it's like, I want to help these people, but I also know what my limits are, you know, and I try to just be available. Like I want to be the person where they know if they do need help and they do need guidance or you know, they want to ask like, what can they do? They're ready, that I'm going to be the person that they call. That's what I hope.
And do you think it's important to have limits with certain people?
It is imperative. It's imperative that me as a sober member, you know, productive member of society, that I draw boundaries with those people. And we have hard boundaries. I'll let anybody come over, but if you use drugs or any of those things in my home, like it's a hard boundary, you know, and I have to do that to protect myself and my wife, you know, and we've had people that we tried helping them and ended up kicking them out, man. It happens. That's just the way it is. But yeah, man, everybody, no matter what, you should always have boundaries with what you allow people to do to you. It's really important, you know.
Really important. Any last words? We have 1 minute left, dude. The floor is yours, obviously. If you want to address any topic that we didn't really talk about tonight, I know we did like a quick truncated one, but it's good because then we come back to this topic in a couple months.
Yeah. You know, Mike, I think we touched on it all. I hope, you know, I think the biggest thing for me today is my perception of what the 12-step programs are. It changes every year. You know, I constantly like being on this like spiritual journey. I've like let go of all my thoughts and beliefs. Like everything that I'm convinced I know changes the next year, you know? And I think that's a beautiful thing about life, man, is like, I try, and I'm not great at this, but I really try not to get attached to things I think, you know, that's been one of the, and I never in a million years would have thought that that's what I would get out of sobriety, you know, just kind of detaching from all this stuff and just trying to, you know, go through life and just be part of it, you know, and it's been one of the most beautiful things. I didn't expect that to happen. I just wanted to stop going to jail. You know, that's all I wanted, was just stop going to jail. And I'm on this spiritual journey, man. And it's been beautiful. I've grown, and I've got so much more than just sobriety today, man. It's really great.
I mean, think about it. You're reconnecting with people. I mean, like you said in the beginning of the show, you have 2 kids that started in really this very, very, very similar circumstances, took 2 totally different paths, and then somehow wound up still here, still doing it, and are able to look back and have a real conversation. Because this isn't the first time we had this conversation. You know, we've had this conversation in private like multiple times, but it's something that I think everyone needed to hear. You know what I'm saying? Because I think we are far too often. There's a lot of people that sit back and say, "Oh no, fuck him. He did drugs. He did whatever." Blah blah blah. You know, neither one of us are those people. I'm not that guy. I really, I wish the best for you. Even when I was reading about your name in the paper and seeing you come out of it and doing this, like everybody else said in the chat, I think it was, it was such a proud, very happy moment when we reconnected. And it was, who would have thought it was like Rand Paul in politics? You know what I'm saying? It's like somehow
in Washington,
some bullshit political posts somehow got us together. And then next thing you know, we're riding scooters around DC, and I'm hitting I'm hitting a pothole and going flying over the handlebars with it. Man, it was awesome. So listen, everybody, I really hope you appreciated this one. If you have kids that you think are doing it, I'm not going to give you the magic pill for it, but I think what you heard right now is reach out, get in touch, know your kids, know what your kids' baseline is. Parents out there, you have to pay attention, because if you do see the change, hopefully you can stop it early before it gets to the point where it's out of hand. And like Ryan said, it could get out of hand very fast, and it could get out of hand fast and then stay out of hand for even a longer period of time. So I think this is something that we all have to pay attention to. There's far too many deaths in this country. From something that can be solved. You can't tell me that we cannot get fentanyl off the streets. You cannot tell me we can't do it. It's happening because we allow it to happen. We allow these countries to flood it with fentanyl. Now, listen, there's always going to be a black market, but I think the amount that's prevalent in our society is alarming. I think it's something that we have to do. Ryan, man, I really appreciate your time with this, dude. You are the absolute best. I fucking love you, dude. Everybody out there, if you enjoyed this, please share the hell out of it, right? Because you never know who's going to hear Ryan's story and say, look at him and say, you know what, man, this guy went from jail to owning a ranch and owning property in Georgia and having a house and having a studio. You have an art studio. I want you to tell everybody about that as well, where they can find you on that stuff. But you're really looking at a possibility here, right? And so many times people get, oh, I'm a drug addict or I'm this. And we were talking earlier about negative self-talk. When you see someone like Ryan and seeing that, listen, this could happen and you could come out of it and you could be a real productive member of society, all you have to do is make that choice instead of the other choices. I think it's powerful. Last thing, dude, tell her where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, American Pegasus. Me and my beautiful wife, run this art studio in Savannah, Georgia. It's an event center. We rent it out. It's thestablessavannah.com if you want to go on there and check it out. If any of y'all are coming through Georgia, come say hi to us. We got a bunch of really cool stuff planned for this winter.
Savannah's beautiful too, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, you need to come down here, bro.
I definitely do. We got to make a plan of that. Dude, I've been a little bit busy with all the stuff and the baby making. Baby making, it takes a lot of time out of your life, man.
Little Valentino,
yeah. He definitely is taking a long time with the dogs there. But I have to get down there because I hear Savannah. I've never been to Savannah, Georgia. I hear it's absolutely phenomenal. But bro, once again, thank you very much for coming on. I hope everybody liked that. Finger the fuck out of my like button. And if it smells like fentanyl, you might want to get some Narcan ready if it smells like fentanyl after you finger my like button. But thank you guys very much. Remember, be your own Caltrop. Make your own decisions. Be self-aware. Be self-aware of all the lies and all the bullshit and all the fake synthetic credibility that's coming at you guys. I couldn't get that out of my mouth. Thank you very much. This Caltrop and Ryan Lawrence are out. Later.